78 Sports TV here. Salute to the mighty LDBC, Lions Den boxing community. For those who don't know, now you know. Smash the like button, hit the subscribe, turn on your notification bell so you'll be notified when I drop a new video. And if you're digging the video, go ahead and share this joint. All right, man, check it out. Keith one-time Thurman versus Tszyu. That's what the word on the street is. So congratulations to Keith Thurman for getting the title shot after all these years. I think Keith Thurman's last title shot, if I'm not mistaken, was against Manny Pacquiao. But no, I think Keith Thurman was the champion when he fought Pacquiao, if I'm not mistaken. But it's been a while. Keith Thurman's been very inactive for like the last 5 years. Been spotty, real spotty with his matches. Real troubling career for Keith Thurman, you know. Don't understand what happened. At one point, Keith Thurman was the man, big bad wolf of boxing, fan favorite, you know. I ain't afraid to let it go. And then all of a sudden he wins the WBC and WBA titles, became unified, and started acting brand new. Started acting real like a cherry picker. You know, everybody lost respect for him. He started doubting himself, and you could tell in his interviews, he started doubting himself, you know what I'm saying? And he just wasn't the same Keith Thurman, you know. Started being real strategic, you know. And, you know, he just changed, man. So now, Tszyu, who was rumored to be fighting Terrence Crawford. We know Terrence Crawford wanted some of Tszyu, but that's not going to happen now because the PBC have threw a monkey wrench into that and made Keith Thurman versus Tszyu. So can Keith Thurman beat Tszyu at this point in his career? I don't know. I respect Keith Thurman's boxing ability, his boxing IQ. He definitely is a high IQ boxer. But can he right now? I don't know what he's been doing. He's been too inactive. I'm not sure he can beat Tszyu. I'm not sure. You know, I don't know, man. I really don't want to pick against him. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't want to pick against Keith Thurman, but it's go. I mean, I'll give it some time. I'll give before I make a prediction in that fight. Let me see training camp. Let me see some footage. Let me see how Keith Thurman's talking. Let me see how he looks. You know, but Tszyu is definitely the stronger guy, the bigger guy, the harder puncher at this stage. If this was Keith Thurman from, I would say, 6-7 years ago, about 7-8 years ago, Keith Thurman. Yeah, about 8 years ago. If this was Keith Thurman from about 8 years ago, I would pick him over Tszyu easily. But right now, I don't know what Keith Thurman still has left in the tank. Don't know at all. The interesting thing is, if Keith Thurman defeats Tszyu, then that leaves Keith Thurman in line now with a belt to fight maybe a Terrence Crawford or Earl Spence, depending on who wins that rematch. If the rematch takes place, you never know. There's been nothing concrete about about Terrence Crawford and Earl Spence. We don't know if that rematch is actually going to happen or not because nobody's doing any interviews, nobody's talking. Terrence Crawford says he's not interested in the rematch. He made it appear that way, you know. Crawford is basically, you know, making it seem as though he tired of Earl Spence's excuses and he wants to fight somebody else and he wants to fight Canelo or Tszyu or whatever. It's just sad, man. You know, I feel bad for Crawford a little bit because Crawford had a plan that what he wanted to do. You know, he wanted to fight Earl Spence, become undisputed at welterweight. Then he wanted to fight Jermell Charlo and become undisputed, 3-time undisputed, by going up to 154. PBC stopped that as well by making Jermell Charlo fight Canelo Alvarez. Mind you, this is how I know they did it on purpose. First of all, we've been asking for Canelo versus one of the Charlo brothers since 1983. They didn't want to give us that fight. They never wanted to give us that fight. Then all of a sudden, as soon as Terrence Crawford comes to PBC and says, "Hey, I want Earl Spence, and then I want Jermell Charlo," Al Hayden and the team said, "Absolutely not. We're not gonna let this dude come over here and beat our guys." So what they did was they put Canelo, who signed with PBC, they put Canelo in with Jermell Charlo. Charlo goes up 2 weight classes and gets sacrificed, by the PBC to keep Canelo happy, give him $50 million, while Crawford and Spence had to beg for $25 million, but you know, a piece. But they give Canelo $50 million to beat for show easy wins. You know what I'm saying? Now they finna give Canelo another easy win, and Jamal Charlo, you know, the other Charlo brother. I mean, this is pathetic what the PBC is doing, and they just sacrificing their fighters, you know, for $1. But they ain't gonna let no brothers get that money. No siree. They ain't gonna let no brothers get that money. They had to pull teeth to get them to let Terrence Crawford get some money and Earl Spence. You know what I'm saying? That's why you ain't finna see Devin Haney fight Terrence Crawford. I mean, you're not gonna see Devin Haney fight Gervonta Davis. It's not gonna happen because, not just because Gervonta Davis is a coward. That's not the only reason though. The other reason is because the PBC in general are cowards. They don't want Devin Haney, who didn't stay with them. You see what I'm saying? They don't want him to have been right. They don't want him and his father, the way they did it, to be successful. See, if what kind of message does that send if they let Devin Haney and Gervonta Tank Davis fight and Devin Haney wins? Then what? What does that say? Devin Haney's not signed with the PBC. He can, you know, he beats Tank. What? You'll have a rematch. What if he beats him again? And this is why the PBC didn't want Earl Spence to fight Terrence Crawford. They kept trying to make Earl Spence not fight Terrence Crawford. Don't fight Bud. Don't fight him. No, man, fight Keith Thurman. Earl Spence stood on business, and he did what he was supposed to do as a man. You know what I'm saying? He wanted to know himself, who's better, me or him. And shout out to Earl Spence for being a straight G and standing up against the machine and doing what he's supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? And he's trying to get his rematch, and I'm rooting for Earl Spence to get his rematch, and I'm rooting for Earl Spence to win that rematch. He did everything he was supposed to do, so I want him to be successful. You know what I mean? But anyway, Keith Thurman versus Tszyu. Don't know what's going to happen in that fight. I'm leaning towards Tszyu, but just give me some time. I'm going to wait and see how things look first in training camp and how they're talking before I make a final decision on who I think is going to win the fight. You know, it's complicated at this point. You got, I hear Archer Beterbiev. And Dimitri Bivol are almost at a done deal. That's what I hear. And if that's the case, cool. You know what I mean? It's another good fight in the sport of boxing that we've been waiting on for a long time. You know, and I've been calling for that fight for years. I've been calling for some type of undisputed, back when Alexander Volstik was still there. You know what I'm saying? I was calling for some type of clarity. Way back when it was Andre Ward and Adonis Stevenson and Sergey Kovalev. I wanted some clarity at 175. And finally, it looks like we might be able to get some clarity at 175. You know what I'm saying? Now,